The Checkpoint is presented by GM Pharma, the first international multinational pharmaceutical company in Georgia. GM Pharma, to serve those who need it most.
The delegation of the European Union to Georgia asked for Georgia's citizen questions about the European perspective. Georgian citizens were active to ask. Let us review the answers to the most asked questions by Ambassador Hartzell received before July the 1st. Let us start with the answer to BMG's question. What can the citizens of Georgia do to help ensure that the government addresses the 12 conditions set out in the opinion of the European Commission?
Now, this is a very important question. A strong democracy needs active citizens. Ultimately, all political sides need to be reminded that they are responsible to the people. And in this case, as several opinion polls have shown, more than 80% of the population here supports Georgia's strategic pro-European choice. In the short term, all efforts need to be directed at successfully implementing the 12 priorities, which makes it relatively easy for anyone to measure progress and to judge whether political leaders are delivering. But to be a responsible and an effective citizen, you also need to be well informed. So I would encourage you to stay engaged in the process and seek objective information about it. There is already a lot of disinformation out there, but a well-informed society will not be fooled. Peaceful demonstrations, such as the one we have seen here in Tbilisi and elsewhere, where ordinary citizens express their expectations on the government and the political elite, is another important democratic instrument, reminding everyone what you expect from your politicians. Finally, every 4 years, as we know, you have the opportunity also to vote in general elections for those parties you believe will deliver best on your expectations, and discard those who don't.
What will happen if the 12 conditions are not addressed in the course of the next 6 months? Will this endanger Georgia's European perspective?
Well, I believe it's very important for everyone in Georgia to realize that the EU's decision to open the door to Georgia is a truly historic moment, and that everyone needs to consider how best now to make use of the important opportunities that have opened up for the country. The European path remains a merit-based process, and the ball is now in the court of Georgia, as well as Ukraine and Moldova, to demonstrate through concrete actions their readiness and ability to advance towards EU membership. And there's no time to waste, as the eyes and ears of Europe are currently focused on this region. For Georgia, the challenge is to deliver on the 12 priorities basically as soon as possible. Once this has been done, it will send a very powerful message to the EU and its member states that Georgia is back on track and can be counted on to advance further. So there's no time for complacency, because the momentum must not be lost. Action is needed now.
Why were Ukraine and Moldova granted the candidate status, but Georgia will have to address conditions first?
Well, first of all, I would like to again stress the importance of the European perspective that all 3 countries, including Georgia, have received. Through this decision, all 3 countries have moved into a whole new category, being welcomed and recognized as future potential members of the European Union. When I arrived in Georgia 4 years ago, I never imagined that this would actually happen on my watch. It is a truly historic decision. But at the same time, it is clear that the 3 opinions were different. Each of the 3 opinions were based on a thorough and factual assessment made by the European Commission. This exercise is based on the merits of each applicant country. And in the case of Georgia, it was assessed that more work needs to be done, in particular for Georgia, to demonstrate its ability to forcefully and sustainably stand up for and defend the core values on which the European Union was founded. And these are fundamental freedoms, democracy, equality, the rule of law, and human rights. Following the EU's recent decision, Georgia's candidate status is now clearly within reach, but will only be achieved if the Georgian government will work together with the opposition across party lines and civil society to address the 12 key priorities.
What does de-oligarchization mean in practical terms?
Well, to say the Commission opinion puts the focus on the systemic challenges with regard to this rather than on persons. The aim is to work towards the elimination of excessive influence of vested interest into economic, political and public life. And similar priorities were also made for Ukraine and Moldova, as this is a phenomenon that pertains to the whole region. To have a properly functioning democracy and market economy, you need to apply the same rules for everyone, safeguarded by strong institutions and able to act without undue political and economic interference within their respective mandates and on the basis of the law. That's basically the bottom line. Now, civil society put forward a couple of days ago their own plan, in which I noted that they were stressing that the successful implementation of the other 11 priorities in a way will go a long way to reduce oligarchic influence. And I think this notion is a good one, and I think because I find it truthful, and I think it's a good starting point for further discussions on this matter.
What is your personal view of Georgia's potential for candidate status?
Here I think Georgia has clearly demonstrated over recent years that it has the capacity to deliver what's necessary to advance on its European aspirations by successfully carrying out a number of reforms, concluding the association agreement, a deep and comprehensive free trade area, and a visa-free regime. Moreover, it has a strong civil service to build strong institutions upon. And all of this, in combination with a very strong and well-known wish of so many Georgians to see the future of their country in the European Union, makes up for, if correctly combined, key assets that I believe will make Georgia, as I've said previously, simply unstoppable. But there will be many bridges still to cross. First of all, to make sure that short-term political interests won't be allowed to win the day over Georgia's strategic national interests.
Two more important questions and answers coming from Ambassador Hartzell personally for me was about the disinformation coming from anti-Western forces to link Georgia's EU candidate country status with the perspective of war in Georgia. The ambassador was asked to what extent was the refusal to grant Georgia candidate status at this stage connected to the fact that there are no military operations in our country. The ambassador answered the Commission assessed Georgia, Ukraine and Moldova on their own merits and based on set criteria. The presence of military operations is in no way such a criteria. The European Union has been Georgia's strong partner since the early days of independence. Over the past decades, we have invested great financial and human resources to help Georgia advance on its European path. And just recently, the European Union officially recognized Georgia's European perspective, which is a great achievement on which to build further. Ambassador Hartzell stated. In the same context, the ambassador was asked, is there any truth to claims that the West wants to see Georgia being dragged into the Russia-Ukraine war and that this has had an impact on the Commission's opinion? The ambassador answered, absolutely not, and I'm really disappointed to see those trying to make such false claims, whether directed at the EU or the US. As you will have seen from day one of Russia's unprovoked and unjustified war in Ukraine, the EU has been working hard with partners to put an end to these atrocities and to bring just peace to Ukraine and its population. At no point in the past or in the future has or will the European Union want to see this war spreading further. You can see the full Q&A of Georgia's citizens with the Ambassador Karl Hartzell on our website bm.g.
The Checkpoint is presented by GM Pharma, the first international multinational pharmaceutical company in Georgia. GM Pharma, to serve those who need it most.